Hi, everybody. This is Shree's Inner Circle. My name is Kay, and I would like to share with you the story that I've been getting throughout my life. And I feel like dreams are messages that you get from source energy. And it might be pretty hard to decipher it at first, but then you just, I just welcome them and then invite them into my life. And they have been very powerful inspiration. So here are some visuals that I put together to depict what I saw in my dreams, because I see in Technicolor. And I get really, I hear my dreams, I hear what's being said, and I see it. So the first theme is on crystals. So I love crystals, and I have a beautiful collection of crystal babies. So I bought them, but before I had these crystals, they came to me in a dream. So that's some like way back. I would say around 2013, around that time, or 2008, even since the birth of my first child. I dreamt a lot about crystals. This particular theme is a very blue crystal theme that I see a lot of blue crystals. Actually, I see a river that is blue. It's blue by the colors washed from the aquamarine crystals that were growing in abundance right at the bottom of my condo apartment in Singapore. So the crystals were in abundance, full abundance. The sky was fantastic blue, and the aquamarine crystals were blue. So where's my aquamarine? There it is. So they were blue, and they colored the water blue. And I was with somebody I love over there and witnessing this cool blue stream, and it felt really magical. It felt strange. It felt like a lot of abundance. So at that time, as I was dreaming this, I didn't have my crystal collection. I didn't know, I didn't feel them, but they came to me, and it was really special. It was very vivid. The other dream that I received that was also way back sometime around 2019, it was a very interesting dream. It was a dream as if I was brought back to a different time or epoch or era altogether. Everything was very colonial style, British colonial style. I believe in past life. I definitely believe in past life, not just because of my belief, because of what others have told me, but because of these dreams that I get where I see places, buildings, parks, and it's very repetitive, and I see them a lot. And it's very reminiscent of this old feeling that I know this place, I've been here. So in that dream, I was a little girl. I'll just tell you the story. I was a little girl, blonde, could be British, and I was probably in Southeast Asia, can't tell which country, but there were these Chinese coolies, at that time. They wore this top hat and they had long pigtail. So they were everywhere, the coolies, and I was this little girl in a blue dress, frock, and I was by the jetty, and I saw these old, boats. It was more to the pier, and in that boat there was a lot of turtles, and they were turtles that talked to me. Like the turtles were talking to me. They were asking for help because they were all being tied up, prisoners. So as a little girl, I felt scared, I felt nervous, but at the same time, I really wanted to rescue these turtles that were trapped. So I unleashed with my little hands these ropes, you know, and then the turtles thanked me, and they actually talked to me, and then they escaped. Then suddenly I saw this Chinese coolie. He was around 40 years old plus, a really rough man. He was probably the one who caught all the turtles, and he was really angry at me, and he was like threatening to almost kill me. So I ran. I opened the door to a majestic hotel, and I went in, and he couldn't pursue me. And in that hotel, that was very Spartan, very colonial, white, white flooring, white everywhere, black. It was mainly white and black with very old furniture like you see here. And but I knew it was a grand hotel, and all the waiters and all the people who worked there treated me like they knew me. I was part of the family almost, and I was like part of this, probably a VIP family, because I knew I was from a, you know, higher society or something. And I had an importance in that hotel because they all treated me with a lot of reverence. And there was the hotel manager. He comes up to me and he greets me. You know, he was really friendly, and he said, "Hey, do you want to see what's in this cupboard?" And there was this huge teak cupboard. I remember I was really small because remember I was this little blonde girl. I looked up, the cupboard was high up in the air, and it was huge, teak, beautiful. He opened the cupboard, and in it there were these rainbow crystals, like the one that I found as an image, but it looked exactly like that. They were all rainbow colored. I've never seen crystals like that before. Again, at that time I was not interested in the crystals. I didn't know, but now I know there's such a thing of such kind of rainbow colored crystals, but they were all over in that cupboard. And he offered them to me as a gift. So I'm not sure if I took it, but crystals have been very much a part of my kids' stories as well. And I remember that when my daughter I was pregnant with her, I had opened cupboards as well, and I had seen lots and lots of gemstones, rubies, all kinds of precious stones for my daughter. And when my first son, I was pregnant with him, again, I opened cupboards, like it was like in my parents' house, and I opened my mom's cupboard and I saw a cupboard full of blue sapphires. So that was really interesting, the dream of the crystals. So today I have crystals, you can see here, and I'm going to talk a little bit about how I work with crystals as well in a while, but this is the best, one of the best dreams ever is coming, and I'm going to show it to you. So here are all the quartz crystals. So they're coming, right? So you can see here, this is my quartz and my smoky quartz, and I feel I have a special connection with that and with tourmaline. So I can't find it, but it's somewhere in my house. Now, this dream is fantastic. I feel like there's a lot of spiritual awakening that happened to me in the year 2019. 2019 has been an amazing year in terms of getting a lot of these mystical dreams. It started pretty much around May, June, July. I'll have more podcasts and more YouTube videos about that. But this one in particular with the theme of crystals, it was very amazing. I was doing a lot of meditation that evening. Whenever I do deep meditation, I get very fantastic dreams. It's as if it's a sign that there's some kind of actualization that's happening, you know, in my system, in my being, or my aura, and I receive these messages. So in this dream, I was back in my, you know, childhood country, maybe Singapore, but I can't really tell. It looked really familiar, and that dream is like, yeah, I know this place, you know, I've been there before. It's a very past life experience again, I think. And I was with two friends of mine who are from this life, right? So behind my apartment, so it was an apartment, I can still see it very vividly in my eyes. There's a grassy bed, right? It's a grassy hill, so we were walking. And then as we walked down, there was a riverbed. It was a dry riverbed, not so much water, semi-dry. And it was, there were slopes, gentle slopes up. So we were like, if you can see here, maybe we're up here on the top. There are not many trees, it's more grass. Of course, I can't draw, so I'm trying to find an image that depicts my dream as much as possible. So there were lots of people, on the dry riverbed. They were walking, talking, looking around, but nobody saw what I saw. So in my dream, I was walking, and then I would see crystals everywhere, especially tourmaline, I saw smoky quartz, I saw white quartz, I saw brown crystals, and they were all in shafts, right? And they were all in the earth, and I could pull them out very, very easily. And I was so amazed by the texture, the coolness, the smoothness of the crystals. I was thinking to myself, my God, am I in a dream? So I was in a dream thinking, am I in a dream? And I took the crystal. I still remember I took one of the crystals. It was a brown color, clear quartz crystal, and I smelt it. And I could smell the smell of earth. As I pulled it out from the earth, I could smell it. So it's amazing how vivid the dreams are. I could actually smell. And it was amazing. So I was being greedy. So I remember myself feeling really overwhelmed by this almost a lottery that windfall that I found on the crystal bed, that I was stuffing my pockets full of crystals. But then nobody saw them. It was just me. It was all for me to find and pull easily. So I walked and I left my friends and I walked along the riverbed, far, far away. And there I met, there was this beautiful house, by the river. And it was very open, with an open porch, open veranda. I just walked up into the house and there was this old Mexican Indian lady. She looked Mexican, but I think she was Indian. Anyways, she was very friendly and she was, preparing some food out, on a big table. The sun was shining. And so I talked to her and I said, I shared with her all the crystals that I found in the riverbed. Because nobody saw the crystals except for me, but this old lady seemed to know that. And she said, no. She said, the crystals belong to the river. You take them back and you give them back because they're not yours. She said, it's really wrong to take what is not yours, but if you want, you take one. Okay, so I'm like, okay, great. So I gave it back to the river and I kept one for myself, which was, I still remember, it was a beautiful white quartz like that. So I kept that in my pocket. And yeah, and the dream continued, but this was the most significant part of my dream. So today, I felt, because of all these dreams I get from crystals and stuff, they're kind of like giving me the message. So I work a lot with crystals now, and I have my collection of crystals, which is growing. And to me, I feel like crystals, they come from Earth, right? So they are from Mother Earth. They are sourced from the ground, and they're very pure. They're very pure, and they take a lot of years to develop and form. So to me, they have a sentient life of their own, the crystals. It's like they have an energy. Definitely, they have a frequency that's very high. They're from the earth. And I think that the crystal dreams that I get is because of my deep love for Earth, for Mother Earth. And I venerate the earth. I hug trees. Yes, I'm one of those tree huggers. I just feel the urge to hug trees and to pay respect to Earth. So when I feel the crystal and I feel it against me, I love to touch my crystals and just, put them against my face like that. I sleep with them under my bed, or I leave them up here on my forehead. They're very calm. I don't read up much about crystals and their healing effects because they do have it. What I advise is to really go with the flow and go with your feeling. So if you go into a crystal shop, you just want to choose a crystal that's talking to you. I think that crystals are very talkative. They talk to you, right? And so in my office space, in my desk, I would have crystals that accompany me during the day. So it depends who wants to be with me, but they kind of like tell me like, hey, bring me next to you. And so I have my crystals next to me. So see this beautiful one? Yeah, it's an Amazonite. Beautiful colors. And it's also color therapy, I think, just looking at the colors, and they're very soothing, brings you a lot of joy. And I really believe that crystals, um, and that's what my mom also tells me. So I'm Burmese, and we grew up with a lot of jewels in our family. Um, and she says that crystals will call out their friends to them. So if you start a collection of crystals and you love them a lot, they will start to attract more friends. So you'll see that actually your collection of crystals are going to grow, and they like to be together, right? They're very, how do you say, they don't like to be alone. Like they really have a life, and they like to be together. So for me, I feel the urge to cluster my crystals together, and they're living in one room. Of all my crystals, I don't spread them apart. I have them all in one room. They like to stay together. So, and they bring me a lot of joy. Um, I cannot pinpoint to you, like, if you touch this and you're gonna get enlightened. It doesn't work that way. It works, magic, mystery, auras, chakras, they work at a very subtle level. When it works in a very obvious, gross level, like so in your face, um, that is very mental, and I think that the reason why these dreams, what they tell me is, okay, drop all that thinking, drop all that mental blah, 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 blah. It's like get down into the subtler levels of, deep consciousness, where you tap into stuff that you cannot see, that you cannot touch, you cannot, but you can feel. And that is really a message, which I learned is they are very powerful, inspiration and source energy. But if you're intellectualizing it, if you're hoping to read a book and get it, it doesn't work that way. You really need to dive into your inner consciousness, open your heart, and expose yourself, be vulnerable, and feel. Because when you're in that space, when your head is not there anymore and you're really connecting to your heart and your body, is when you feel the subtler messages that you would not have gotten before. It's in that magic of the moment that you go, aha, now that's what the wind was trying to tell me, you know? So a lot of, mystery and magic and mystical stuff, um, enlightenment or whatever, it doesn't happen because you're reading a book or you're attending a lecture. It happens when your heart is open and you're ready to receive. You're ready to open your eyes to the unknown. There's a lot of stuff that we don't know. We think we know, and that's the problem. When we think we know, it's the ego that's getting in the way. But when you open your heart, it's to say that, hey, I don't know anything, teach me. And that's when the universe comes and directly teaches you. So that's kind of like the little lessons that I get from all my experiences that my dreams are sharing with me. So I will plug along. Okay, so some of the dreams that I get are also places. So I am, just for your background knowledge, I am Burmese. call it Myanmar nowadays. And I'm also half Chinese, but I have such a strong connection with India, such a strong connection with India. Seriously, in 2019, I was really adamant. I really wanted to visit Mother India. To me, India is mom, is mother, you know, it's mother for me. And I wish to venerate the ground and the earth of India one day. I've been to India, but it's for work purposes. I don't really get to see and behold the magic and mystery of this beautiful country and its people. But I feel like I'm so connected to India, and so are my children. My third child, when I was pregnant with him, I dreamt of Jaipur. It was amazing. I've never been to Jaipur. And in my dream, I dreamt of an elephant. It was, you know, the very regal elephant. And I dreamt was flying around the royal palace of Jaipur. So, you know, the Pink Palace, I've never been there before. I don't think about Jaipur. It's not in my consciousness. It's, I don't know if it's past life, but I was flying around Jaipur and I saw all the intricacies of the windows, the shapes, the facade, you know, and then I also, in separate dreams, I dream of this hill, and on top of a hill there was beautiful palace with earthstone, you know, like the one that I found here, and I put it up on this presentation. It looked just like that, and there was a botanical gardens as well that was coming down, and I would be walking there and, you know, finding my way and enjoying my walk. So I really vow to visit Jaipur with my son. And so I don't know if he is also connected to Jaipur. He must be. And it seems that he's been almost like one of the Raj, you know, in his past life, probably from this land. So a very special connection with Jaipur, with India. I will visit India. Spiritual parents. So spirit guides. So, you know, we say, hey, who is your spirit guide? Tap into your spirit guides. I really believe in that we have our spiritual parents. We have our biological parents, of course, but I know as a fact that I have my spirit parents, and I know that because I dream of them. So I have a very strong connection to my spirit mother, and I will tell you who she is. She is a Naga. Naga is a dragon. So a water dragon, a water serpent. Nagas, they are magical, mystical beings. Since, for example, they are always protecting the gods. So Lord Buddha, for example, he had a Naga who was protecting him as he was meditating. Lord Shiva also has always a snake or a serpent around him. So they are, snakes and serpents are very mystical, and they have a lot of source energy power connection. For me, these Nagas are water creatures. My sign is a snake, according to the Chinese astrology. And yeah, and so it comes to no surprise that my mom is a Naga. Actually, the dream was very fascinating. I dreamt of her when I was in junior college, so I must have been around 17 years old in Singapore. So I used to play a lot of volleyball at that time. So in my dream, my mom, she was this huge black, color was black. She was a black Naga, like an anaconda, huge. But she was very modern. She was driving a car. So I could tell this was some kind of, you know, it wasn't a strange dream for me. It was a very natural thing that my mom was a Naga. She was driving the car. She was driving me to volleyball practice. Yep. So she would talk to me in her telepathically. So I knew exactly what she was saying, though there were no sound from her. So we got to my volleyball practice, but I wanted to go shopping. Remember, I was a 17-year-old kid, right? So I'm like, Mom, I want to go shopping first. She's like, yeah, no problem. So she dropped me off in front of a huge shopping complex. And she said, wait, let me go first before you do. She got out of the car. I don't know how she fit into the car, but because she was huge, she got out and then she could see the huge length, the beautiful, she was enormous. And she paved the way in front and everyone saw her. She made herself known and visible, and everybody was afraid. So they were all flanking past her, and she was way out in front, and I walked behind. So that's my mother, the Naga. So I dreamt of her starting, yeah, when I was a teenager. And I also dreamt of a white peacock. I don't know why, but a white peacock and my Naga mom. And as I grew up, as I, got into my 30s, my 40s, I also dream a lot about, uh, yeah, serpents and, water nagas. And I have this particular vivid dream you can see here. It looks almost like Angkor Wat, but I would be in this boat like that. Someone would be, rowing the boat in this water canal, and flanked on the side of the boat were two black Nagas. So they were like, flanking the boat. They were swimming and protecting. And I would step onto this island, and it's a green, like emerald island. Stone was old. It was an old forgotten place, old forgotten temple, and with lots of Buddha statues, all covered in moss. And I could hear the birds chirping. Was so peaceful. It was so forgotten, but so peaceful. I was barefoot, step on the stone, step on the moss. And, it's like, it's a sanctuary. It's really a green emerald sanctuary, an island in the middle of a huge lake. And the Nagas brought me there. So that's also a very beautiful dream. I dream of Burma. And I dream of these forgotten places in Burma where there are hidden temples and pagodas. And each time I have those dreams, I know they're very special because they bring so much peace in my heart that, yeah, it's just unspeakable. My mother, Naga, as well, is a very direct communicator. So, and I know she's really protecting me. So in 2019, I was working and I had a conflict with a colleague. And it was, it was a misunderstanding, but that colleague was very intimidated by what I did. She didn't like it. And so she felt like, I went over her and stuff. So anyways, there was this conflict. I was really angry. I was really upset about it. Because I had the good intention, but there was this misunderstanding and this fallout. So it was all in my heart, and I told my mom, my Nagal mother, I said, I'm really I was really angry about it. And so that was it. I just told her in my head that, or my heart, that, hey mom, um I'm really sad about what happened, right? Really affected by what happened. So the weekend, so that was on Friday, and then the weekend, and then Monday, I saw my colleague at work, and we didn't talk because there was this, tension and stuff. So we were at the lift, and she's like, "Hey, Kay," and I'm like, "Yeah." And I said, I had this strange dream. So I went, "Really?" I'm like, "Tell me about this dream." So I was like, "Okay." And so I listened up to her, and she said, I dreamt that me and my daughter, we were ice skating. And then suddenly everybody was like, "Oh, what happened? What happened?" And they all ran away. And so I saw a dragon. And so I looked at her and I said, "Tell me, was it black?" Just like, how do you know? How do you know? How do you know it was black? I'm like, yeah, I guessed. She said, yeah, I saw a black dragon and it was long, it was huge, and it was intimidating, but I knew it would not hurt me. And so that black dragon just, circumambulated the skating rink looking at us, but didn't do anything. It was just like, friendly, but kind of like, be careful kind of sign. Isn't it strange? So she asked me. I'm like, yeah, I think so. So then I knew that, yeah, my mom had gone over to give that sign to my colleague. So that was very interesting how I had directly reached out to her. And a lot of times, whenever I directly reach out to my mother, she's always there for me. So I'm really happy to share this as well to all of you that, if you meditate and you look deeply within yourself, you will see that you are protected. You are protected by beings that are not in this form in existence. You have a spiritual guide or a spiritual parent. And it could be that I myself came from the Naga world in past lives, who knows? Really, I think I start to see now that time and space is not what you think it is. This body that we think is so real, that it's us. This is Kay. This is Shri. It's it's a vessel, right? We're very attached to our physical loka. Loka is like this physical mundane world, but there is also a supra mundane world. So supra mundane is beyond the world, beyond the mortal world. There is a spiritual world. There is the cosmos. And that's where time and quantum physics, your past, present, future, all this lines up. That really, we're not living in this time and space. You can be everywhere and anywhere. You can teleport. There's so much amazing abilities that we have. We're so divine, but we forget our divinity, and we forget our inner power and our inner magic that we all have. We're all star seeds. We're all, energy, frequency. But we're so attached to the spiritual. We're so attached, not spiritual. We're so attached to the mundane, the gross. The gross. What can I touch? What can I see? What can I hear? What can I taste? But there is so much more than your physical senses. That's it. There is much more than what you can see, hear, touch, taste. To tap into that, you gotta feel, and you need to bring your concentration to a very still level and practice. Practice open mind, open heart, and you will start to see that you have spirit guides, and you are protected. We're all protected, yeah. So my mom is a Naga, and my father is an Orca. So this is a story almost that warrants a video by itself, because I'll be like talking and talking. But my father is the Orca Whale. Actually, I believe that I'm in Canada because of my strong connection to the Orca. I was in Vancouver when I was British Columbia when I was 20, backpacking. And when I was on the island of Vancouver Island, crossing the boat, I was very amazed to see the orca whales. So they already made their appearance. I had my first contact, and I just felt something, a deep resonance with Canada, especially with British Columbia, that area. And I vowed that I would be back in this country. I will come back. And here I am. 20 years later, I'm living in Canada now. So my father, the orca whale, starts to give me signs really late in my life. Well, My mother showed up when I was 17. I start to know who my mother is, but my father was really very recent. I would say when I was 2018, 2019. So around that year, I was in working in a very complex job. So in data science, I was meant to train data scientists. It's super complicated. Given the fact that I have no, data scientist background, I had to train them on big data and stuff. So it was very complex, very abstract, very stressful, challenging, but I learned so much. The biggest thing that I learned in that job was to open up my throat chakra. So throat chakra is here, it's your, to open your throat chakra is really to speak and express fully, to find your voice and to express, to say what you feel, say what you think, and not let yourself be hidden. Because I was hiding. I was really hiding back there. I was so intimidated. I was in fear. But then I had such good instincts about what was going on. And I would prepare all these presentations, but I would be too afraid to speak up, to share what I feel and what I think. And this is, where I see it. I could join the dots, but I wouldn't speak up. So instead, I would share my content with a colleague, and then she would present my material. And then everybody would say, yay. So I would go, hey, that is interesting. What's going on here? So then my friend, a friend of mine, a really good friend of mine, Kotmina, she was really a good guide. So she was telling me, okay, your throat chakra is blocked. So I'm like, huh? So I didn't know anything about chakras at that time as well. So I really got into chakras then. She said, you gotta look into your throat chakra. And so I did I took her advice. Something about me is that if someone gives me an advice and I feel that it comes from a really good place and it resonates with me, I'll just do it. I won't even debate. I won't even challenge. I'll just do it. So I did that night a throat chakra meditation, and I coughed the most evil cough ever. At that time as well, no COVID, right? It was 2018. I was constantly coughing, coughing. So it was in this, winter time coughing, and then spring came coughing and constantly coughing. And I didn't know what was going on. At the same time, I was not able to express, and I was having great ideas about what was happening. I was going to really give good information, but I didn't step into my personal power, and I didn't express, I wouldn't dare to show up. So when I did that throat chakra, believe me or not, the very first time I did the throat chakra meditation, this most evil cough just came out. It was so evil. I felt something actually came out. And I swear, after that meditation, I stopped coughing. I just stopped coughing. That was it. Cleared. It was gone. Whatever that block was, that stale, dark energy, was very dark. It was very black. Ooh, it came out. I could just see it. And then I dreamt of my father, the Orca. So the Orca would come to me in the dream. And so the very first dream I had was I was on top of a hill, on top of this, hill, and I was with all my friends. Then I saw there was the sea. It was out there, and there was a river flowing, and this huge pod of orca whales were swimming from the sea, swimming upstream right into the river, and then they all jumped up the hill. They must be really strong because they jumped way up the hill, and then they would look at me. And there will always be a dominant male orca that would look at me right in the face like that. And it was so in your face. But what I received, and when I meditate on that, the dreams that I get with my orca father, and I would have very close encounters. I would dream like I would be on the beach, and then I would be playing with the water, and then boom, an Orca Whale would just come right up and face to face. So when I reflect on these dreams, what it really shows me is two things. Personal power. So the Orca is a very majestic, beautiful being, and they are very powerful. And having that close-up encounter in your dream with the Orca Whale is intimidating, but also very exhilarating. All that power, you know, and he's there saying that you got the power, girl. Thank you, Dad. So that was just as in your face as possible that I can get from my orca father. And I would always dream of, you know, I would see this pod of orcas. They would be swimming. Whenever I get dreams of that, I feel so blissful. I feel so connected. I feel so protected by my family, my orca blood ties, you know, and my father is there saying that I'm here. And I remember another dream that I had with a very close-up encounter with the orca, and that was again in this workplace where I was having a lot of stress, but I eventually really made it. I overcame my very micromanaging manager at that time. I overcame that stress. I learned to speak up and talk, present my ideas. It was well received. I stood up to my personal power. A lot of it I feel is because of, you know, the fact that I connected to my throat chakra, solar plexus, you know, follow the advice of my friend, and also the dream that I get from my orca father. And one significant dream that I had before a presentation, actually, I had this dream was I dreamt of a stranded orca whale. So he was stranded, you know, and there was this like a dam. He was stranded in the dam. And I had to go in there to save him. I had to, you know, cut off all the wood so that he could swim out into the open sea because it was shallow, it was low tide. But I was scared. I was intimidated because I had to go close up to the orca. Imagine if he like bites you and stuff. But I knew in my dream that I could trust. I could trust the orca. So I did that. I actually went down the hill and I broke off the barrages, and it's like that little girl dream, you know, when I freed the turtles. So I freed the, you know, the barriers, and the orca could swim, and it was an amazing dream. So I released him into the sea, a very powerful creature again, but I wasn't afraid. I followed my feeling. I overcame my fear, and I released this beautiful, powerful creature into the ocean. So I also hope now, because my father is the orca whale, that we would protect our oceans. Now I'm definitely a water sign. I'm a Scorpio, and I'm very connected to water, and I really, really want to protect our oceans and our seas and all our mammals and beautiful creatures that live in the water, like our whales. They are the most magical, beautiful, compassionate, intelligent creatures ever. And us polluting our oceans and seas with, you know, not taking care of our own body, not loving our body. We don't love our planet Earth, and we don't love our oceans. I'm not blaming anybody for this, and I'm part to be blamed as well for the whole pollution story. But it's just to say that, you know, because I get these dreams of these beautiful, majestic animals, I see them as a sacred totem animal. You know, they're sacred. They're part of the earth, and it is our duty to protect them just the same way as they are protecting us. You know, that spirit connection. So being in Canada as well, it's just, I'm so grateful because we have all our indigenous, you know, Native American tribes, and there's so much to learn from our indigenous First Nations as well, because of that worship and worship to Mother Earth, the deep connection with Earth and with all her sacred animals, and finding the totem animal which is symbolic and close to you. It's coming from the First Nations, And I really have a lot of respect for that, because I myself lived through this, not having been an Indigenous First Nations person. But I really see that, this is the language of our planet, our Mother Gaia, and you can tap into all these source energies. So when we learn to love ourselves, when we learn to deeply love and listen to our heart, we can listen and connect more with our planet, our beautiful planet. Yeah, that's right. So that's my father. My whale. I have such a beautiful story as well. It's a dream. And in this dream, it was a killer shark. So it was a huge killer shark. So I was a diver in that dream on a scientific expedition, and it took me out to the open sea. So my task was to kill the sharks, the killer shark, right? The killer whale, for, I don't know, sampling experiments, whatever. And so I dived into the sea, and I was with another diver. Okay, so I was a woman, and then there was another man. And then I saw the killer whale, and I was going to kill it. I was going to shoot it. But then as I went close, I had these like, I don't know what you call these long missile thingies that yeah. As I approached the killer whale, I saw that she had a baby. And there was so much love between the mother whale and the baby calf, that she looked straight into my eyes, in that dream. And there was so much love in the killer whale, her eyes, the love of a mother for her cub. And she was immediately communicating to me saying, do not kill me. But more like, I have so much love for you and I forgive you, right? That I forgot my mission was to kill her. And instead of killing her, I went up to the other diver who was a guy, and we kissed in the water. So we dropped our weapons, and then we just embraced each other and we kissed each other. So it was a beautiful kiss in the water. I don't know how we did that, but that's a dream. But that's to say that close-up connection and contact with such huge mammals are so powerful that though it's in a dream, it felt so real, especially when they look at you straight in the eyes and you can just feel every single emotion, transcend into every single pore and cell of your being. And it was only love. It was all love. So we have a lot of amazing sentient beings in this planet Earth, and who knows, in this universe, there's so much love all around. So just feel that love. Love is God. Sound is God. This is the best part of my dreams. So source energy. So I'm a Buddhist, right? Uh, I'm Burmese. I grew up and I did a lot of meditation on Vipassana, self-awareness meditation, loving kindness meditation. I don't know much about the Hindu gods, but all my best friends were from India. They were all Indian. I have a love for India like you cannot imagine. And I dream of India. So this dream is the dance of gods. And I remember that as a child. As a child, I would always see an Indian temple like this, very colorful on top of a hill. And as I was running, going up the hill, all the gods, right, all the statue gods from the temple would come down. They'll become alive and they start dancing all around me. So I had that very vivid dream of the gods. They were all dancing around me as I was going up the hill. They were coming down the hill in this beautiful parade. So that was really, really nice. It got serious. No, I start to have a serious connection with Lord Shiva starting in 2019. Now, this one is very, very amazing. So whenever I do a deep meditation, I will dream of something very, very spiritual. I once went to a meditation retreat, and that was back in the past before 2019. And then when I dreamt I was in the Brahma Realms. It's like the realm of gods. The the gods were huge. They were like mountains. They were huge. They were disproportionate. They were not like human size. They were very big. And they were all had matted hair, and they were all in meditation posture. And I could hear a deep reverberance of Om. You know, that Om syllable was very loud and vibrating all around. It was so loud, it felt intimidating, but it went through every single pore of my body. I could feel the reverberation and frequency of the Om in that Brahma world. And that was very fantastic. It was sound. All I could remember was sound and Om chanting. It was very, very deep. That transported me, that dream transported me straight into the Brahma Realms. I had a glimpse of the different dimensions, different universes that are out there, you know, and I could get there because I was in a very deep state of meditation, and in my dreams I got a glimpse of what those worlds look like. Now in this dream where I first met Lord Shiva, it was fantastic because I was actually going into a Buddhist temple, and there was a meditation retreat, but it was very crowded. There were lots of people, so I wanted more space. So I stepped out of the temple and I walked into this beautiful tropical botanical gardens. And there was this huge banyan tree, like you see here, you know, beautiful banyan tree. And right under the banyan tree was this enormous stone statue of Shiva. I knew it was Shiva because he was very handsome. So long hair, long flowing hair, very peaceful, serene face under the tree. And then the statue started to talk to me. Said, "Okay, would you like to meditate?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I want to meditate." Said, "Okay, I'll teach you meditation. Go get a meditation mat." So then I looked down on the floor, and there were these round meditation mats. I'm like, "Oh, cushion. Okay." I got a cushion. I sat down. And then Lord Shiva chanted Om. He started chanting Om. He said, "You chant Om with me." So thank you, Lord Shiva. That was my very first encounter with Shiva. And I have a lot of dreams of Rudra as well. I didn't know who was Rudra until my friend Yogesh told me about, "You're dreaming about Rudra." And I dreamt in 2019 of a lot of mayhem, a lot of destruction. Everything was red. The buildings were falling apart, and all I see was red. And there was this man who was always next to me, loving me, protecting me, and holding my hands. And I start to see there's a lot of connection with the fire god, with with Rudra. Um, and one day uh it wasn't pure daylight. I was doing my chakra meditation. I was doing the full chakra healing meditation. And in that meditation, I I felt so blissful. And then I've never had this visualization before, but I immediately saw in my vision, and I was like almost pinching myself, like, is this really happening to me? But I did. I saw a little boy, and then he held out. I looked closely. He was around 5 to 6 years old. He was wearing, you know, like an Indian shirt, you know, white, long sleeves, and he had a red energy ball. And then a little girl came up, and I knew that little girl was me. And I was looking, and I said, "Oh, I wonder what she's." And she was holding, like above her hands, a green energy ball, and it was just a ball, and it was rotating, right? He had a red and she had a green, and they came close to each other. And then it was the most beautiful thing happened. The colors swirled around each other, but they didn't mix, they swirled, and a beautiful form of a human heart was right before my eyes. And the colors red and green were just swirling around that heart, not mixing. And so I really felt this love. That was just such a lot of sacred union, like feminine, masculine energy coming together, intermingling, not strangling, but, intertwining. It was the most beautiful dance. And then I stepped into a body of a man who was all red, and I just stepped in and I meditated, and I felt so peaceful. I just felt so peaceful. Every single cell in my body was at peace, so much love. And I think that's when I really start to have encounters with Shiva and with Rudra. So Lord Rudra is red, right? Destruction. Lord Shiva is the creator. Yeah, and then of course COVID happened in 2020, and I wasn't really that surprised because I had such a lot of dream of destruction that was gonna happen. So it didn't come to me as a surprise that the whole world was going through some kind of massive recalibration after that. So it's like, fantastic dreams. Lord Ganesha as well is in my dream. So Ganesha is the son of Shiva. That's what I start to learn, but I have close-up encounters with Lord Ganesh as well. And in this dream, that now I finally understand the meaning, he's really, I visited his temple, Lord Ganesha, in my dream. It looked like a little bit like this, right? Beautiful temple. There was a moat with river everywhere. And he looked like an ordinary man. He was really dressed like, white, slim, but his head was that of an elephant. And he looked completely normal. He spoke perfect English. And he's like, yeah, welcome to my temple, Kay. And he had a lot of followers. And he's like, would you like to have a walk around the temple grounds? And I'm like, yeah, sure. So we did a visit around his temple grounds. So Lord Ganesha came and did we walked around his temple. And what I noticed that was amazing was all the creatures, right up to every single insect that lived in the forests around his temple, were coming into his temple. It was as if they were drawn by so much love that was present in the temple grounds, that they were all attracted by that love, and they were all migrating. There were lots and lots of turtles, lots and lots of tortoises and fish and insects, and they were all coming into his temple. So we were walking, and as we were walking towards the edge of the temple grounds, there was a stone archway like that, like you see here, and Lord Ganesha stood right under the archway. He looked at me, and then before I knew it, he had this white snake around him with green eyes like this, very emerald green, lime green eyes, white, beautiful snake, but furry. So it had fur. It was strange. And then he said, Kay. And I'm like, what? And he threw the snake at me. And I was so scared. I screamed and I let it go. I felt it landed on my neck, but it didn't choke me or anything. It just felt soft and it coiled around me. And then I woke up. So that was a very powerful dream I dreamt. And it was really asking me to step up into my personal power. That was the year that I really had to deal with my solar plexus and stepping into my personal power, just being embodied, not asking for validation anymore. Literally growing up, I had to shed my skin of that little girl image. I was an only child. I was dealing with a lot of, childhood wounds and, feminine scars, being molested and all that, and still feeling very trapped, feeling very dependent, though I'm very independent, but I'm scared. So that was really a dream for me to say, take the space. you know, be empowered and do it. Like, believe in yourself, because if you don't believe in yourself, no one will. Just do it. Believe in your personal power. So that was a very, very strong dream from Lord Ganesha. And Shiva comes to my dream again. So this is an amazing dream. In April, I dreamt literally this place was amazing. I found it. I was traveling with my mother and my cousin. And then I saw this red caves, right? So I was very drawn to it. It was like very red, huge caves. And I was hiding with other tourists, and I was like taking my long lens camera, and there was a ritual that was going on, and it really looked like these caves. I later found out on Google the Badami caves in India looked exactly like what I dreamt, and there was dancing Shiva as well. So there was a priest who was dancing in this ritual. He was blue and black in color. And there was this whole ritual going on. And then the priest danced right up to me. I was hiding, and he danced right up to me, and everybody was scared of him because he had many arms. And that's also something that I saw in my dream. And it's amazing the coincidence with later on when I Googled and I saw this, I was like, oh my gosh. He came up to me and he tattooed his name on my arm, and it was Shiva. And it was beautiful. It did not hurt at all, the tattoo. It did not hurt. And I saw far away from, this place, this caves, this cliffs, the Himalayan mountain range, and there was the sea, and there was another temple far out in the sea. So what I learned is that the Badami caves are also surrounded by the lake, by water. It's very uncanny, exactly like my dreams. And then I saw another temple, right? And it looked just like this one, like the Raja temple. Also, I learned that it is dedicated to Shiva. So Shiva is really coming in strong on me. Like, I really get the dream of Shiva, and I feel very, very peaceful. I feel very protected, and I really want to pass all this protection and love to all of you. Really, there's just so much love. There's so much peace. And this is what I learned, that God is love. Yeah, that's really as simple as that. You know. Oh my gosh, this one is amazing. This was in 2019 again. Again, this year was fantastic. I dreamt, it was the day before I left for Zurich. It was a very important finance conference, and I was really nervous. And in that dream, I dreamt of a red dragon. And I was really scared of that red dragon. So I was cowering. I was like super scared. The red dragon was like flaming out, fire from his mouth. And I was like, oh my gosh, what is this? And Shiva spoke to me, and he said, pray to the Shiva Lingam. So I was like, okay, I will pray to the Shiva Lingam. I never understood this dream until now. So now that I've walked onto the path of transformation and really dealing with my childhood wounds, and dealing with finding back my feminine divine that I have neglected for a long time, because I've been really blocked, in finding my feminine power, my feminine divinity. I've been very, my mom, my grandmother has really been blocked in terms of their feminine energy as well. But I'm learning to unblock this. And did, when I did something, when I finally, emerged out and I start to connect through dance, through a lot of dance, through meditation, and I did the yoni drawing, and that's a separate one. I discovered, and I felt the energy, as I was drawing with my blood. And that's when I discovered that my name, Theory, in Sanskrit is Shri. And Shri means the mother goddess. So I've always been very ashamed of my name, Theory. Whenever someone calls me Theory, I'll say, no, my name is Kate. So now I go like, wow, my name means mother goddess, right? And I have always been neglecting my femininity, and I felt afraid of my femininity. I felt afraid to be female. I felt afraid to feel sexy, you know, my sexual energy or my sensuality. I was afraid of myself, literally. And I wasn't stepping into my personal power because I was afraid of myself. And now that I tap into my feminine divine, I realize that my name is actually the goddess, Mother Earth. So Shri. And as I was doing my yoni drawing, I started to write the name Shiva. And the beautiful S turns out to be a serpent. So, like a dragon, you know, and because I was drawing it in red, it was like a red dragon. So that's when I start to see that the feminine, and this is really what I discover, is that the divine union, the love that I've been looking everywhere elsewhere, you know, externally, like, hello, do you love me? Hello, do you love me? Is right here inside me. You know, this is exactly what the dreams of Shiva, Rudra, all this is telling me that the divine union of the feminine and masculine divinity is right here within us, and that love is right here, right now. If you touch yourself and you kiss yourself and you feel, it is experience inside you. You know, you experience love within you. Love cannot be found elsewhere. You can give love, right? But don't wait for someone or something to love you. You have the love that's right here within us. And that is the deepest meaning of all. And that when we find the balance of our feminine grace and we're not pushing it away, and when we find that balance of the masculine divinity as well, that's also within us, and we're not pushing it away or denying it or making it too big, right? We have this balance. We find love. We find love in that sacred space, that equilibrium between the feminine and the masculine divinity. That's right here within us. So yeah, so that's all. I mean, the whole message is that who we are and what we are is more than meets the eye. We are more than our physical manifestation. We are living in this beautiful world as our physical manifestation, which is our body. But beyond that, we are energy. We're frequency. And this is what I learned from the crystals, is that there is a frequency, that when we attune to the higher frequencies in this universe, to love, to openness, that's who we are. So don't forget who you are. So that who you are is not just Peter or Tom or Jane, you know, you are love. And don't forget that. Don't forget who you are. So with that, I'd like to thank you for listening. And stay tuned to share with you more videos like this based on my personal experience. And with that, sending you lots and lots of joy, light, and love. Bye.